Welcome back to another episode of the Fitosophical podcast. I am your host, Justin Christen. Today's episode, I want to talk about or go through a thought experiment that I use with my clients in order to help them achieve their goals. Me included, some of my clients struggle with attaining goals or envisioning themselves achieving those goals. So if somebody has a 6-month or a year goal of losing 20 pounds or losing 50 pounds, sometimes it can be hard to envision themselves at that point, because right now if I'm 300 pounds and I want to get down to 250, it's hard for me to grasp how I can get there day by day, step by step. So one thing that I do to start is I say, can you envision yourself 24 hours from now? So can you envision yourself tomorrow? And most clients, including myself, I can say, yeah, I can envision myself. I'll be basically the same person. I will have probably the same outlook on life. I will be pretty much the same person. But if I have a goal to eat better, to eat more protein, to get to the gym and exercise, and to prep meals for the rest of the week, and that's my goal today, what I would do, or what I would tell my clients, is envision yourself tomorrow. Envision that person tomorrow. And envision that you achieved all of your goals that you set for yourself today. What would that person, what would 24-hour you say to today you that you had to do in order to achieve those goals? Well, something like, if I want to eat healthier, eat more protein, or track my calories, or make it to the gym, or prep my food, I might say, tomorrow me would tell me that I need to run to the store and I need to get groceries. Tomorrow me would say that during that 24 hours that I had this goal, I had to wake up an extra 15 minutes early so I can get to the gym, or so I can get my workout in. Tomorrow me, who's been successful with this, would also say that when it came to tracking my breakfast, I would have to open up my phone and I would have to enter it in. Now, when you have a goal that's just for tomorrow, you're supposed to be, or you're more likely going to be more strict with yourself as far as what you have to do to achieve that. So if I have all of these goals for myself to achieve in the next 24 hours, I would darn well have to pretty much follow them, step by step. So then I go out and I say, okay, if tomorrow you that you can envision, what about next week you? Can you envision next week you? And yeah, I can probably envision myself. So if you have a goal to lose 1 pound to 2 pounds during the next week, envision yourself hitting that goal, and successful you in the future comes back to talk to today you. What would they say that you had to do in order to achieve those goals? Well, I would have to go to the gym 4 times a week. I would have to follow along with my meal prep that I set up for myself. I would have to use my phone to track my calories. And then usually this is where people, they just expend it out, but usually this is where people just kind of stop. And I say, would they say that you had to be perfect all 7 days? Well, no. I mean, during that week I could probably have had, a nice little snack to help keep me on my goals, as long as I tracked it. I said, yeah. Well, if I missed my Friday workout, I could do it on Saturday. Well, yeah. So what this does is it also allows people to see that they don't have to be perfect, because if you envision yourself having to be perfect for the next week or the next 6 months to achieve your goals, that can be overwhelming. So then I expand it out even more. I say, what about 6-week you? You have a 6-week goal, and let's say in that 6 weeks you want to lose 6 to 10 pounds. What would future you tell you you had to do? Well, once again, I had to prep my meals every week. I had to go to the grocery store. I had to get my workouts. I needed to, the same exact thing. And then I would say, would future you say that you had to be perfect every single day during those 6 weeks? Well, no. And how many bad days or how many unperfect days did you have? Probably 5. Okay. So it's not necessarily about being perfect, it's about being consistent. So then if you can envision yourself saying one bad day is never going to ruin your progress, but bad days stacked together might, that's where you start to envision, oh, this is what it takes to be successful. And of course, along the way, future you can't tell you exactly how you're going to feel every single day, but future you can give you this guideline. So then along the way, you can see what actually works for you. Maybe prepping your meals on a Sunday night doesn't necessarily work out for your family schedule. So then you move it to Saturday night, or you move it to Monday night, or a weekend morning. But you figure out ways to hit your goals. And when we start thinking about perfection, so when I start thinking about that, last night I had, a bunch of cookies and I had some drinks and I blew it out of the water. that is more likely to lead me to have another bad day, which is another bad day, which is another bad day. And when you stack those bad days together, over the course of that 6 weeks, if you have one bad week altogether because you say, screw it, I'm throwing in the towel, that's where your progress can get a little bit more murky, as far as now you have to start being more perfect for the rest of the 5 weeks, because you can't have consistently bad days over and over and over and over. One of the cliche, or one of the most broad phrases, I guess, and to me it makes sense, but if you want something to change, then something has to change. So whether it's your mindset or your approach, but you have to be willing to change something, because if we're doing something right now and we don't like where we're at, then if we continue to do the same thing over and over and over, are we going to get different results? Probably not. So if we want to change something, if we don't like this feeling that we have to change something in order for that to work. So if that means that you just start out by going for a walk, or if that means that you start out by tracking your calories, or if you just meal prep, do something that signifies that you're able to put your chips in the pot to make that change. So then if we expand it out even more, so 6 weeks, then we go, what about 6 months? What would 6 month you say to today you that you had to do in the next 6 months to achieve your goals? Imagine 6 month you has got that 25 pounds that you've been looking to lose. It's off. You're happy with yourself. What advice would that person give today you, saying what you did? And oftentimes it's, well, I wasn't perfect. I mean, I celebrated my kid's birthday. I went out with some friends a couple times. I went on a vacation, but I kept it semi good. So I still was able to live life. I just had to make these changes. So then when you can talk to yourself, when you can actually talk to you in the future, you can start to understand that, hey, I don't have to drown myself with this worry of I need to be perfect every single day. But I do need to be good. I need to be more good than I do bad. And I need to have more successful days than unsuccessful days. And that's why the rule of like 80 to 90% good days, 10 to 20%, not so good days. But you can't have a birthday party every single day. You can't have a vacation every single week. You can't have drinks every single night because you're celebrating some victory at work. Those are the types of moments where I say, if you want something to change, then something needs to change. And I'm going to use this example of Starbucks coffee. So I know a lot of people think that coffee is good for you. Well, depends what you're talking about. Black coffee, yeah, caffeine, but it's black coffee, no calories. But if you're talking about this Frappuccino from Starbucks, and you say, if you want to achieve your goals by tomorrow, and you're drinking this 400 calorie Starbucks drink, what would tomorrow you say that you needed to do in order to achieve your calorie goal? Well, I need to make my breakfast, probably some eggs and some toast, or something along the line, something quote unquote healthy. I needed to get my workout in or get my steps in for the day. What about your Starbucks? Well, I would have to skip on that because it's pretty high calorie. Bingo. So that's when you talk to yourself and you say, what is servicing me to my goals and what is not? Because you don't have to give up those coffees for the rest of your life, but you do need to make a change so you don't have to find ways to get that extra 400 calories that Starbucks coffee was giving you. You don't have to find ways that you need to diminish your actual food that keeps you full for longer. And so when you're talking to yourself in the future, it allows you to just be honest, to say, here is my plan. And when I'm talking about a plan, I'm not saying like a detailed plan. I'm saying like a pretty much a map, a blueprint. And then along the way, you find the way to your destination. Because when you're looking at a map, you're looking at a piece of paper. You're looking at a blueprint that just says this is the general direction that you need to go. You definitely need to head the right direction. But if you veer off the wrong highway for a little bit, you might not need to just get back onto the freeway or the interstate. But at least you're looking at this map knowing where you're going. Eventually you're going to hit your destination. The more times that you veer off, the longer it may take to get there. But as long as you keep heading in the right direction, you're going to make that progress. You're going to hit your destination. Just depending on your speed limit, which is your motivation level. Depending on how many times that you veer off the road and take a detour, which is then how many times that you have maybe those not so good days. And all of this stuff adds up. Sometimes you have to make a pit stop for gas. So then if that takes a little bit longer, it's like, okay, how long are you going to take to refuel your tank? Well, how long are you going to take to, maybe take a quote unquote diet break? Because if you have a lot to lose, like let's say 100 pounds, doing dieting for a year is super hard, but it's super rewarding once you get there. But you can also allow yourself to take breaks so you don't mentally exhaust yourself. Because this is not for the next year I want to lose 100 pounds. This is, I want to change my lifestyle for the rest of my life. I want to lose the 100 pounds in the next year, but I want to also keep it off. So how do you keep it off? Well, you don't just say, I'm going to not eat for the next 3 months. Sure, you might be able to lose that 100 pounds, but is that sustainable? Then when that 3 months is over, it's like, oh, I'm just going to stuff my face and I'm back up to 100 pounds. And that's when you get to like this yo-yo or this hamster wheel of diets, is you're just doing the same thing over and over and over, and you get frustrated with yourself. So I hope that these tips help. I hope they're clear enough as far as how it is that you can approach your goal setting, because everybody has different goals. But if you can envision yourself tomorrow, if you can envision yourself in the next 48 hours, and you can say, I can see who I am as a person right now, and I can see myself in the next 24 hours, because I'll basically be the same. But what do I need to do in this one day? What is my first step that I need to take? And it's accomplishing those goals, those micro day goals, within the big picture of the macro 6-month goals or year goals. Because although one day doesn't matter, and I tell my clients this, when you have one day after one day after one day after one day after one day, and eventually it turns into 14 days, and your goal is in the next 6 weeks, then yes, those 1 days do add up. 1 second, I can waste 1 second, staring off into space. But if I waste 1 second 1,000 times, or if I waste 1 second 600 times, that's 10 minutes that I've just gone with. Now expand that over the course of time, and it's like, oh, well, 1 second in the instant moment doesn't necessarily matter, but it definitely does matter if you're constantly doing those micro things and not paying attention to yourself. So I hope this is helpful. As always, if you have any questions, send me an email, justin@fitosophical.com. I do online coaching, I do in-person training, and I would love to help you achieve your goals. I know it's not easy, but I know it is rewarding. And I know that doing the hard thing, once again, reason it's hard is because it's not easy, but it's also the most rewarding. It's the most fulfilling thing that we can do to show ourselves how we can change as a person and how we can better ourselves mentally and physically. And so if you have any questions, email me, justin@fitosophical.com, or visit the website, www.fitosophical.com. And thanks for tuning in.